While swimming underwater is one of the most invigorating activities we can engage in, diving into the deep ocean can invoke quite some fear, especially when there's so much of the unknown down there. While the process itself can be quite complicated, from the intense ocean pressure to the fact that you're strapped onto a tank that is your sole source for air, the fear of what could be while under deep water is something that brings a chill to the spine. In today's video, we're looking at the scariest videos discovered by divers. Before we jump into it, don't forget to hit the like button, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for future updates. This is General District. Great White Spooks Diver. In 2015, a St. George Island charter captain bumped into a massive shark while spearfishing for invasive lionfish 22 miles off the coast of the Franklin Country Island. Grayson Shepard has more than 15 years of diving experience and expressed that in all this time, he felt he was at the top of the food chain every time he went out into the water. He and his friends had been hunting lionfish, an invasive species in the area, and decided to go for one last solo dive for the day. He had already collected a few snappers and a net full of lionfish and was at the depths of 93 feet below surface, when suddenly he saw the shadowy figure of a large great white shark appearing out of the murky waters in the distance. The shark was menacing, and while it was 35 feet below him and swimming in the opposite direction, Shepard was still spooked and started to head upwards. And "oh my God" could even be heard on the underwater video. And while many would scurry up to the surface, he still needed to conduct a routine safety stop, common in diving to allow nitrogen to escape the bloodstream, and so he prepared his spear gun for the possible close encounter with the great white. Moments later, the shark seemingly became more curious and swam towards him, making another pass before swimming off just in time for Grayson to hurriedly get out of the water. Apparently, the year before, he also saw a great white shark about 10 miles from the site where he dove at. His perspectives on diving have since changed, and now realizes that in fact he's not on the top of the food chain, he's just number 2. Underwater earthquake. While most people expect underwater diving to be a calming and serene experience, it's still possible to feel the wrath of Mother Nature even underwater. A group of divers in the Philippines were on a technical diving training course in Mabini, Batangas, when they suddenly experienced a 5.6 magnitude earthquake as they were swimming at a water depth of 18 meters. John Paul Rodriguez was filming his dive when suddenly the seabed began to move up and down, followed by the shaking of the ground beneath the ocean. With the sudden change in pressure and sifting rocks along the seabed clearly seen, the earthquake was part of the larger Batangas earthquake swarm that hit the Philippines in April 2017, and after the seabed shook, the team's dive leader decided to abort the dive. Luckily, no one was injured during the earthquake, despite all of them being a bit shaken up. The thing from the deep. The greatest appeal of what lies deep in the ocean is that many of it is still a mystery to all of us. More than 80% of our ocean is unmapped, unobserved, and unexplored. Much remains to be learned from exploring the mysteries of the deep, which is why it becomes viral when a possible unexplainable creature sighting occurs. In 2012, somewhere in the ocean of the United Kingdom, a remotely operated video camera 5,000 feet under the surface was checking the rig's drill when it captured what seemed to be an astonishing-looking sea creature. It was a green and gray blob of gelatinous muscle covered with finely mesh-like textured skin, no eyes, no tentacles, no front and back. It constantly moved and floated up to the camera and then just simply disappeared. The video instantly became viral, with people saying it could have been a whale's placenta, while many said it could be an unknown blob. Scientists from the National Evolutionary Synthesis Center at Duke University later assessed the footage and eliminated the possibility that it was a whale placenta, since placentas are too tasty and too nutritious for sea creatures, and it wouldn't make it 5,000 feet down without getting eaten. In identifying the thing, the scientists revealed that the creature had in fact noticeable gonads. These gonads resemble a similar organ in a rare giant jellyfish called Deepstaria enigmatica. The bell-shaped tops with dangling parts may have been obscured by the tentacles caused by the motion of the underwater device used and caused the flaps to seem different. Marine biologists from all over the world also found the consensus that it was indeed a jellyfish, but instead, others insist that it was the Deepstaria's enigmatica's cousin, a weird-looking blob that eats using the membranes in the skin with an opening that can even seem to glow. These type of giant jellyfishes are usually found in the South Atlantic Ocean, swimming in depths of beyond 5,000 feet below. Swallowed by a whale. In 2019, a South African photographer encountered his own whale survival story, much like Jonah in the Bible, as the man ended up almost being swallowed by a whale 51-year-old Rainer Schimpf was snorkeling off the coast of Port Elizabeth, South Africa, when he ended up in the path of a bridge whale, with the whale suddenly opening his jaws and engulfing him head first. The whale seemingly came out of nowhere, and Rainer was preoccupied, concentrating on the sharks in the area, making sure that none were suddenly upon him, but instead found himself engulfed by a completely different and much bigger sea creature. Rainer has worked as a dive operator for 15 years and was in the water with 2 others. He noted that once the whale grabbed him, he felt pressure around his body, but soon realized that he was too big for the whale to swallow whole, which provided him some instant relief. He was worried that the whale would keep the grab on him and take him further down into the ocean before the whale spat him out. Bridge whales are members of the baleen whale family, a group that includes blue whales and humpback whales that can grow to about 90,000 pounds and 55 feet, with a diet consisting mainly of crabs and shrimp, and luckily not of adult humans. Giant man-eating squid. One of the most terrifying sea creatures of mythical lore is the giant man-eating squid of legend, said to have engulfed full ships and the seafarers aboard. While these gargantuan beasts may simply be flights of fantasy shared through the generations, there are massive giant squid specimens that have been seen around the world. In fact, in 2016, an expert diver was mauled by several giant squids and still managed to film the entire terrifying attack. Diver Scott Castle, who works for Animal Planet, filmed a life-and-death battle against a swarm of Humboldt squids in the waters of La Paz in Mexico. The video shows how a swarm of squids dragged him deep underwater at an incredible speed, leading him to immediately suffer a burst eardrum. One squid managed to dislocate Scott's shoulder, while another broke his wrist in 5 places. Scott kept screaming in agony as he desperately clawed his way to escape the swarm's clutches and head back to the surface of the ocean. This shows the preparedness one must take when throwing oneself into a scenario where you're at nature's will. So what do you think about these scariest videos discovered by divers? We'd love to hear what you think about them by commenting below. Don't forget to hit that like button, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for future stories. Until next time.